Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two non-stated 40% alcohol Canadian blended whiskeys. One is old and 89 years old. The other one only been out 17 years, and I don't think it's made anymore. And I'm not going to bother to check. This is Royal Canadian, imported naturally. We're in the United States. If you bought this in Canada, that would not be on there. There's the shield with the maple leaf expected. Blended Canadian whiskey. There's the shield with the maple leaf expected. Blended Canadian whiskey. This was $8.99 at Discount Depot in Marrero, Louisiana. Years before, I found a half-size glass bottle of this for $5 at Ali and Sons in Marrero, but I haven't been back to that place since. Just a small store. It says distilled under supervision of the government of the Dominion of Canada. Distilled under supervision of the government of the Dominion of Canada. Well, that's nice to know, but actually all Canadian whiskey is distilled under the supervision of the government, okay? Just like all American whiskeys distilled under the supervision of the government. Now, they don't mean a government agent is standing right there watching the whole time. They just mean they show up sometimes and check on the process, or in Canada, the process. All right. Now, meat inspection is, I think they're there all the time. It's a much more perishable product, right? Okay, we love to hear from our customers, Sazerac.com. So brown bottle, that's good. It protects the whiskey from light damage. And this one is not common in Louisiana. I've only seen it at 2 stores in my whole Louisiana career. Ali and Sons, like I told you, half-size bottle, and Discount Depot, and I never saw it again. Now, you might live in Michigan and say, oh, it's at every store has it. Okay, well, here, no. Now, here is an unusual product. This is called Gran Legacy Canadian whiskey with natural flavors. Nothing unusual there, because most Canadian whiskey has natural flavors. Now, it has a crown, which you say, oh, it's for Canada. Yeah, that doesn't really make sense, though, because they've got the Gran Legacy American blended whiskey bottled in Kentucky that also has a crown, and I know Kentucky doesn't have a king. All right, so it's kind of screwball. When I did my trademark research, they said the trademark was abandoned by CVS Pharmacy after an appeal. In other words, they had applied for a trademark going back to 2006 for this product. It was rejected. And they tried again, and then it was rejected. And they made a third appeal, and then they just gave up on it. So there's nowhere on here does it say trademarked. I don't know why that was rejected. It might have had something to do with legacy, because there is a legacy American whiskey. I'm sorry, there is a legacy Canadian whiskey, and there's also legacy Scotch. So I don't know. I don't know what the story is on it. They didn't explain why it got rejected. Okay, I bought this at CVS Pharmacy. Yes, in Louisiana, CVS Pharmacy has their own liquor section and their own brands. Gran Legacy, you see it in the CVS. But the last couple of times I went to CVS, they didn't have any Gran Legacy. Now, 5 years ago, they had Gran Legacy Canadian whiskey, American whiskey, with the brown label. They had gold rum, silver rum, vodka, the red label. And I believe they had tequila, silver and gold, and Scotch, like a green plaid, kind of thing label. Then I went back again, and they didn't have as many. And they had different size bottles, this big jug bottle, and the glass liter bottles, and then the plastic 750s, call them travel bottles. And And I went back to CVS earlier this year. No Grand Legacy of any type except for a few bottles of scotch. Sorry, mistake. A few bottles of vodka in the travel, call them PET travel bottles. So when you see that, you think, what? Well, they're getting rid of Grand Legacy. Maybe it's because they couldn't get the trademark on it, but of course they could have applied for some other name, you know. Right? But whatever the case, it looks like it got phased out. I went to New Orleans on Mardi Gras Day this year, and I was at a CVS Pharmacy on Canal Street because the parade was taking so long to show up. I just got sick of waiting for it. So I was walking around, and they had a pretty good amount of Grand Legacy in there, though. Different stuff. So I don't know who makes it. I'm thinking it's Sazerac. It says bottled by the Legacy Distilling Company. There's nothing on here that says Sazerac, but I'm not going to say it definitively, even though I know I'm right. But anyway, I'm just going to put Legacy Distilling Company. Got all the telltale signs of Sazerac Canada. Okay, but it doesn't matter really because no one probably can get this. Anyhow, I paid $11.99 for this big bottle. I've been sitting on the bottle for about 3 years, but I did pay $11.99 for it. I think the cheapest bottle of Canadian whiskey you can get now is at Walmart, and it's called Caliber Canadian whiskey with blended whiskey with natural flavors. Almost same design. That's what I'm saying, Sazerac. But of course, Caliber, they're claiming it's owned by Walmart Apollo, which is like the legal name for Walmart Apollo. $12.88. Last time I saw it was $12.88. Big handle. I don't know if these are still private label though, because I've seen them in other liquor stores. Like, well, I mean, I know Royal Canadian never was. It's its own brand. I went to Rouse's and they had 2 jug bottles, 2 handle bottles of Caliber Canadian with the closeout tag, the bright orange tag, two for $10. Well, I know Rouse's is not Walmart. It's a separate Gulf Coastal grocery chain. So where did they get the Caliber if it's a private label at Walmart? And I've seen Caliber at Savannah Discount. I've seen Caliber at, I think Star had it. I was at Star last week and they had Grand Legacy, that same bottle, probably about 8 bottles on the shelf, you know, the front and then 7 more pushed to the back. Might have been 6 bottles. I don't know how many of these can fit. Depends on the shelf size, right? But I said, well, there's Grand Legacy right there. And it might have been a case where, you know what I'm saying, where CVS decided to jettison the Grand Legacy line. They still have Jethro T Boots, and I know that's a CVS Pharmacy brand. That's the straight bourbon. And they might have just told a wholesaler, well, here, we'll sign this, sell it to anybody. And then Star, I know they cruise around, go into auctions, and they've got a hold of it. See, Star is not a closeout store. They're pretty much a high grade liquor store. They sell extremely expensive, hard to find stuff. But on the other hand, they sell, you know, sharply discounted specials that they find. And that same thing with Elio's Wine Warehouse. You'll find mind-blowingly low prices on some things. Usually it's some off-the-wall odd item. And then you could pay $300-400 for a bottle of whiskey over there also. So, or like Mathern's, there's another good example. So they all must be part of that secret auction. All right. Well, I know one thing, they do not look the same. The Royal Canadian is darker. It's probably aged longer. This I cannot say. Does it have flavoring added? When I tasted it years ago, and then not so many years ago, and then last year, and maybe earlier this year, it did not appear, or it did not seem to have flavoring added. My daughter, her first reaction when she tried it was, ugh. Ugh. And then she kept sipping on it. She said, well, it's not really bad. She said, I just wasn't prepared for that. I think it was sort of like that harsh wood flavor. It was just like no charred oak, just like oak. Just like kind of harsh oak coming at you. Toothpick wood, so to speak, like we said. So, but then as she sipped on it, she was saying, it's not too bad. But she's like me. If I say it's not too bad, that means I'm never going to buy it again. You know, you can tolerate it, but you're not going to actually go and buy it. Why did I buy it? Simple. I had heard of it, never saw it in person, and I saw it in person, and it was unusual, so I purchased it. Like I said, $5 for the half, which didn't last long. And then and it was a really strange looking bottle, the half size. It had bubbles in it and everything. It looked like some old hand blown bottle. Seriously, like it was hand blown. It was almost like Sazerac was using reuse bottles. I don't know if liquor companies do that. Reused bottles. It looked like some bottle from the 1930s that they had washed out and reused. I don't know. My grandfather's hardware store used to do that. They sold Dr. Pepper. Well, you know, all the typical brands. But the bottles were real old. And they were painted bottles. You know, they were glass, clear, or green or brown, but they were painted. And you had to return the bottle. If you took the bottle out the store, you had to pay a fee. And people didn't want to pay 10 cents, just like in 1979. Although that machine stayed till the mid 80s. I guess their local Coca-Cola plant or whoever it was discontinued that. But people would say, oh, well, they drank it in the store and then put it back on the rack and they wouldn't have to pay the money. And some man would come once a week, collect all the empty bottles on a cart, come back the next day, they were all washed and refilled, you know, with new product. So I'm thinking that Canadian, Royal Canadian that I saw at Ali and Sons might have been a refill. I don't know how that works. I know how that did work in Baton Rouge, like I said. And my grandmother used to get the milk bottles like that. I can remember that. It was in like a wire basket with a handle that swivel back and forth this way. You pick it up, and there were 6-quart bottles of milk. And the milkman would deliver it and put it on the porch and get the old bottles, and they take them back to the dairy plant. They would wash them out, scalding water, soap, I don't know, whatever they use, and then they would refill them. Yeah, like a pry cap. But I didn't see that too long after. Probably never saw it after 50 years ago. And then, of course, you know, you start having the paper cartons for milk, wax paper, where you pull it open, like you all remember that. And then, of course, not long after the PET bottles came, and like they make for the liquor today, the it's not polyester, it's like it's similar, but it's not, you know, it's designed for beverages. Okay, I can't look down because if I see a darker product, I'm going to know that it's the Royal Canadian. Now, if you look up Royal Canadian on the internet, like Google, the monopoly company that's being sued by the U.S. government, who's also a monopoly, so it's kind of comical that they're suing them for monopolistic practices. But they if you look it up on Google, it's going to show Crown Royal. Like every time you look at Royal Canadian, Crown Royal is going to come up. It like confuses their AI system, you know. It's like, You said, let me do an image search. It's going to always be Crown Royal, not Royal Canadian. And some people say, somebody said this on a comment one time. Oh, they just copied off of Crown Royal. I said, well, how's that possible? Because Royal Canadian was on the market starting in 1934, and Crown Royal didn't start till 1939. So they had them beat by 5 years. So that doesn't even make any sense. Smells. I'm going to mix them up again because I glanced and I thought I saw darker, but I don't. That was an error. That was an error. I didn't mean to look down, but could have been wrong. But I want to be on the safe side. Safe side. Okay. So we got a definite Sazerac brand versus probably a Sazerac brand. I'm going to say it is, but I can't definitively say. Like these people always making videos saying, oh yeah, this uses the number 2 mash bill from Sazerac. It's a baby Blanton's and so forth. So I asked them, well, how you know that? As it always turns out, they read it on somebody's blog. So I go check the blog out. He got no back. The person writing this statement saying that it's the number 2 mash bill got no sources cited. Like he doesn't tell you where this information was, originated. Where this information was retrieved. Because I know Sazerac doesn't release any mash bills. So these people just repeating what they heard from a blog, who heard it from a blog, who heard it from a blog, who said you've been messing around. So I don't know if this is coming out the air. And I don't want somebody telling me, oh, I got a friend in the industry. He knows. That's not a source, okay? A friend in the industry he knows is not a source. It's like when Trump was president, they were saying, a White House source says he did this. Well, who is the source? Or we can't say. Well, how you know you didn't? How do we know you just didn't make it up? Maybe the source is from your imagination. This certainly tastes like the one with natural flavors added. Don't know what they are. Tastes like vanilla. Johnny Neely said almond extract. It's a good guess, but I don't think they're taking the time and the money to put almond extract in these things and selling it for $11.99. I think they're using some vanilla. You say, artificial vanilla extract. I know where to buy that at the store. McCormick artificial. No. Can't be artificial because then it would be whiskey with artificial flavoring. All right. And that's a much stricter guideline on that. No, it says natural flavors. So if it tastes like vanilla, then it would have to be, it could be some other natural thing that tastes like vanilla, right? Some leaf juice from a leaf or something. They soak the leaves in the thing. But it would have to be from a natural source. So it's probably just vanilla extract that they bought on the cheap. But that's a guess. See, I don't know. I'm not going to say it like these people making the videos. That's the number 2 mash bill. Definitively, I know it's natural flavors added. It says it on the bottle. Other than that, it's subjection. It's conjecture. Conjecture, sorry. Oh, there's that wood. Oh, there's that bite. Oh, there's that harshness. Oh, there's that Royal Canadian. Got it. Ding-a-ling. I knew I'd get it because nothing I have a lot of Canadian whiskeys in this house. Too many, probably. But many of them taste similar one to the other. Yes, but they don't, any of them, how do you speak English? But none of them taste like Royal Canadian. Royal Canadian is its own animal. But this animal bites. And it bites. It gives you a pretty bad bite. You don't play with this one. So one good thing about it, I don't think you'd ever overdrink it. You'd never drink too much because you would say, 2 ounces, that's enough for me. Boy, no age statement, which means Canadian. Now we're not talking about the United States. In Canada, that's a 3-year minimum. In the United States, it's 4. If you don't put an age statement, you got to go at least 4 years. Actually, the United States is easier on whiskey than Canada because in the United States, you don't have to age whiskey any particular amount of time. You could age it a year. It's allowed. You just got to put it on the bottle, age 1 year. That's no problem. I mean, until you drink it, then it's a problem. But in Canada, it wouldn't matter what. You could put the statement on the bottle. Don't put the age statement. You decide, but it has to all be at least 3 years old. So it's illegal to sell any Canadian whiskey less than 3 years old. It would be an illegal product, an illicit product. Do those exist? Well, yeah, there's always illegal products. I wouldn't drink them. You say, well, I got an uncle. He sells it out of his truck. He knows a guy that makes good stuff. He knows a guy that makes good stuff. Why do you think it's $4 a bottle? Like these people, they want to take medicine. Let's use that term nicely. Let's be careful what we're saying. And they'll buy medicine on the street from some guy. They say, that's my dealer. Well, you just got to hope your dealer is, I mean, I don't even have to explain this. It's, why you think you guys people dropping dead everywhere? Because it's their medicine is laced with something from China. I ain't trying to save money that bad. I'll go to the store and buy anything. I'm going to buy stuff from the store. I'm not buying something from because your uncle knows a guy. I'm very happy to go to the store and buy the products. All right. Somebody wanted me to do a review of their homebrew. Now, I appreciate that because they like my channel and they think I do a good job reviewing and they want me to tell the audience what I think about their homebrew. But my point was, what is the point of that? You see what I'm saying? No one can get it except for me, which you sent it. So it's like, well, what's the point of making the video? No one can get the product. It's made at your house. It has no availability. The beer reviews, or whiskey in this case, are done for people so that they can, talk about the product, give their input on the product, and we talk back and forth. And that's, so you're not just in isolation tasting different beers or whiskey. So it makes it more, enjoyable to talk to other people about it. But if it's a product no one can get, then it starts to become a question of why you even making the video. And that could be said for many of the beers I do. I even say it in the video. I don't even know why I'm doing the video. Nobody can get it. And do you really want to watch a video about a beer you can't get and have virtually no chance of ever finding? I know I don't. You say, well, I guess beers like Rolling Rock get a lot more views. Well, yeah, they do. That's because it's much more common. Yeah, it's not that great. It's not exactly a fabulous product, but there's people with experience from their grandfather drink it, their father drink it. It's a known brand. It's out there. It's known. People can't mess with it like if it was an unknown. You know what I'm saying? You understand? No, but even Landshark, that has a Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville background. So people, but if it's some obscure Louisiana beer, I might get 25 people watching the video, but I don't get offended because that's probably 20 more people than can actually buy it. These two whiskeys here, I'm not expecting a lot of people to watch because can't really get it here, much less other states. So, all right. But maybe, like I said, maybe like in Michigan or something, Royal Canadian is common. Maybe in Canada it's common. I don't know. It tastes all right. I guess it's a mixer, but it doesn't taste like it tastes sort of like it's a sipper, maybe like a semi sipper. You know what I mean? Like it could go either way. Like you could mix it or you could sip on it. But I don't understand why you would want to sip on it because it doesn't taste very good. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of bitey. It's kind of one note with all that oak. And it could be, you say, no, nah, that goes back to 1934. That's how whiskey was back then. It had that bite. It was an old man whiskey. So blah, blah, blah. You know, it was probably 86 proof back then, too. Not 80. Yeah, well, those days are over. And so maybe that's why no one finds it anymore because the old man whiskey bite that nobody wants to drink anymore has faded. So, Old Charter. Yeah, that's an old man bourbon. See a lot of people drinking that? I don't. It's at the store. There's still a bunch of old men who, but it's going to fade. I mean, I don't think that thing's going to gain popular. It's going to fade. It's fading. What am I saying? Going to fade. Fading. Now, why do you think they started adding all these special oak versions of it? Mongolian oak, French oak, Chincopeak oak, which I've never seen any of those variants, but they got it on the website. And they're trying to appeal to a younger audience, like Old Charter. It's changing. It's different now. It's not just your grandpa's whiskey, your pawpaw's whiskey. You know, it's modern. You know, I don't know. It probably ain't gonna catch on, but so Royal Canadian, what I recommend it. Does have a little honey note. Hey, look, I would recommend it if you found it for $8.99, like I did. Maybe even to $10.99, because that's how much I paid for Calvert Extra. $10.99. Also in Marrero, strange thing. I don't know why Marrero, Louisiana has all these strange, obscure brands that I can't get anywhere else. But I prefer the Calvert Extra, to tell you the truth. It's all gone though. Yeah. Over. Would I go over $10.99? No way. And I know some people are watching, pulling their hair out, saying that's so cheap for whiskey. What are you talking about? $10.99 is a joke. Crown Royal is $23.99. Yeah, I know that, but it's not a joke because these are not that good. Actually, Gran Legacy is okay. You say, yeah, because the natural flavoring masks the nastiness. Yeah, probably that's probably right. You're probably right. But since it masks it, I don't notice it, and I can deal with it. Would I run out and buy it again? No. Would I recommend it? Possibly. Depends on what your utilization is. If you're going to serve it at a wedding, I think you're out of your mind. Unless it's like the fourth serving, you know, after they be drinking and eating the cake and all. By that time, they don't care what they're drinking. They're so done out. You say, give them anything, you know. Then you'd be serving Carlo Rossi wine and the cheapest champagne possible, probably J. Roger and or Andre in jugs. And then, yeah, serve them this caliber. Now, you're going to start off the wedding, you're trying to look like you impressing people. You say, yeah, I got a bunch of bottles of Crown Royal Reserve. The good stuff, you know. Then as the night goes on, same thing with the beer. You start serving the Milwaukee's Best. And that's what's so interesting about the story of Jesus's first miracle. In the Bible, Jesus's first miracle that we know of was to turn water into wine. And if you read that Bible story carefully, the guests at the wedding, when they sipped the wine, they were shocked. You know, they said, "Whoa!" You know, I'm paraphrasing. Can't ever directly quote anything, but they're saying, "Oh, this is amazing," because usually at a wedding reception, we talking about 2,000 years ago, same story as now. They say usually at a wedding reception, they serve the good wine first, and then as everybody's been drinking a long time, they start putting out the cheap stuff. And they were amazed. They said, "Well, this man saved." They're talking about the caterer. That's because they thought, you know, the caterer has. They said the caterer saved the best, or the wedding host saved the best to last, which they couldn't understand that. You know, they said, It's amazing. You know, they would save the best one until last because usually that's the opposite. So that's just an interesting story. The story is interesting in many ways, but it shows kind of like how a lot of things haven't really changed. Now, I don't think they had a DJ in the year 33, 80, 33, whatever, 80, 30. But they sort of did because at those wedding receptions, they would hire a musical group to play. They didn't play techno music. They didn't play the chicken dance, but they had Near Eastern, you know what I'm saying, Near Eastern Oriental music type stuff. That was probably very popular back then. You know, they probably said, you know, oh man, I just love Saleh's music. It's so amazing. It's so heartfelt. Remember the song, My Mother Who Raised Me So Well? You remember that song where everyone would cry when they would play Saleh's My Mother Who Raised Me So Well. And before the Scythians attacked the village and destroyed it. That was the first line of the song. All right. Well, anyway, thanks for watching, and y'all take care and see you soon for another Canadian Whiskey Taste Challenge.